anything that you want to say?
Yes, ma'am. I take full responsibility for my crimes, for my charges. I want to say sorry to my mom. My mom got 11 kids. I can't say all their names, managers, my kids is not here. Really, everybody that got something to do with this situation, I want to say sorry. Just like,
Yo, face! Show your face, please! You put sugar on top!
Hey, what's up, y'all? Y'all know my slogan. I don't know it all, but I know what I've been through. Now, before we get into this video, make sure you check us out on Patreon at www.patreon.com/Hookah Anonymous _. You guys been telling us to create one for the longest, so we recently created a community where we will upload videos that we can't share on YouTube due to their guidelines. We'll also be dropping the latest to there first, behind the scenes information that you wouldn't find anywhere else on our socials. So make sure you become a member, and after you do that, head over to our official Instagram page at Hookah Anonymous _ and follow us there. Now, without further ado, let's get into what you guys came here to see. Now, alright y'all, it was free Young Thug until Young Thug was free, and it looks like Young Thug is free on Halloween. Now, as y'all know, the whole RICO thing, he actually beat those RICO charges, and Judge Whitaker sentenced Young Thug to 40 years, which is still kind of crazy, but 40 years with 5 years commuted to time served, followed by 15 years of probation. Now, it's said that if probation isn't completed, a backloaded 20-year term will require him to serve the remainder in custody, which means that if he doesn't abide by the obligations and conditions of probation and he's steady getting in trouble, he still has 20 years holding over his head. Now, with probation comes conditions, which means you must abide by them unless you want to go back to jail. If you don't, you just abide by the conditions that's given by the courts. And Young Thug conditions includes him being banned from Metro Atlanta, can't go to Metro Atlanta. He has to do 4 presentations or concerts a year against gang violence. He could travel for work to make music, no contact with gang members or co-defendants except for his brother and Gunna, which is kind of weird. And he cannot promote gangs in any way. Now, the thing that was kind of weird to me was he can actually be in contact with Gunna. I don't know if that's because Gunna well, people say he haven't. That's up to them, man. But they took plea deals, right? So I don't, there's other guys like Yak who didn't take plea deals and he can't be in contact with them. However, he can be in contact with his brother and Gunna, which are 2 people that took plea deals. Now, I don't know what that got to do with anything, but it is kind of strange. However, shout out to Young Scooter. Y'all know Young Scooter and Young Thug are boys, they tight. And Young Scooter will actually repost the judge picture and he would say, quote, "Best judge ever." Then he would take to his actual Instagram page and he would still repost her once again, and he would caption it saying, quote, "I love you. You return the spider." Now, of course, his girlfriend Mariah the Scientist, she would be overwhelmed with happiness as she would take to her Instagram story to say, quote, "Thank you, God," with just a bunch of exclamation marks. And it's safe to say that she's happy as F. Now, she will also take to her Instagram story and repost a picture of her and Young Thug hugged up. And I'm sure once he gets out, she's going to be the first person he probably sees.
That's crazy!
However, on the flip side, your boy Drake also, y'all know how close him and Young Thug are. He has something to say in regards to Young Thug, in which he didn't say much, but he reposted the song of him and Young Thug, latest on Young Thug's album called Parade on Cleveland. And just to show his love, he kept it real subtle. But let's get into a few things here, y'all. Now, after the news came out, his lawyer will make it very known that yes, Young Thug is coming home. However, this isn't what he wanted, right? Because it's still not a not guilty verdict.
As far as how Jeffrey's feeling now,
He knows my feelings, which I'm not going to reveal for attorney-client privilege, but this is not the same as a not guilty verdict. That should have been rang. But nobody here wakes up every day on a concrete floor that they're calling his bed, gets up at 4:15, gets shackled at his feet, his waist, and his hands, comes to the Fulton County Courthouse to be on concrete, eating out of a bag. Doritos is his meal of choice. And then coming to a courtroom and sit there with a leg chain on him every single day and hear lie after lie. So for Jeffrey, go home today and not have another 90 days or 120 days of it, he is very happy, thankful to the Honorable Court. So to answer your question, this was not what I wanted. I don't believe that it is just, but I believe that under these circumstances, it is justice for Jeffrey Williams, and he is delighted, as are we, and thankful.
Right? Until he completes this, he's still guilty until he completes this. He's just coming home now because that's part of the conditions, and they're allowing him to come home with time served for now. But just know that if he violates probation, that time is still hanging over his head, and his lawyer is saying this is not what he wanted. He wanted a not guilty verdict across the board. See, what's happening right now is Young Thug just pleaded to a lesser sentence, which allowed him to be free. If he would have pled to the RICO and everything else that they was charging him with the bodies, he wouldn't be out right now. However, he's still pleading guilty to something. So his lawyer is saying that this is not what he wanted, but I guess, for him to come out and be with his family and everything, then so be it. And here's why I think his lawyer is going off like that. I think personally his lawyer is going off like that because his lawyer understands how hard and complicated probation can be, especially for 15 years. Now, let me break this down for y'all. For the ones that never been on probation or parole, maybe y'all don't understand how this works, right? One thing about probation and parole is very, very tricky. In fact, this is the same program and system that Meek Mill was speaking against because he has been on it for years prior to him finally getting off after serving a bunch of times. Now, if y'all remember, Meek Mill was a big advocate of stopping probation, or at least not making it as extensive and crazy as it was when he had to experience it. Now, Meek Mill was on probation from 2008 after being convicted for a drug and gun charge. He faced multiple counts, including carrying a firearm without a license and drug possession with intent to distribute, which resulted in a sentence that included 2 years in prison and 8 years of probation. Now, keep in mind, that was just 8 years. Now, throughout those 8 years, he encountered a bunch of violations, sending him back to jail because he couldn't stay out of trouble with the law. Now, of course, there's always going to be people that's sitting there pointing fingers and judging. Oh, Meek couldn't stay out of trouble, that's why he kept getting violated. But let me tell y'all this. For somebody that actually been on probation and parole, I would like to tell you that being in those programs is very, very hard. It's very complicated, and even if you are somebody that's living above the law, even if you're somebody that's living a legal life, it's hard because any little thing that comes your way, you have to be very disciplined, and if not, you could potentially go back to jail, no matter what it is. Earlier this year in 2024, Chicago rapper Tay Savage was actually violated on probation, or was it parole? I think it was parole. He was violated though because he was a part of a shooting that he had nothing to do with. He was literally at a kickback, aka a party, and the party got shot up, and he ended up getting violated all because he was around the situation. Do you know how crazy it has to be to where you almost lost your life and you was almost a victim to gun violence, and still you're getting violated for something you had complete no control over? And in a nutshell, that's what parole and probation is. You have to be very careful. You can't get into no police contact, and if you do, you have to tell your PO. And if they find out you're being sneaky and you didn't tell them, they can violate you like that. It's a bunch of ways they can violate you. They can violate you if you are hanging next to another felon, in which you probably wouldn't even know he's a felon. Nobody walks up to each other and be like, yo, I'm a felon, right? No, right? But if you have a PO that's very strict, and they're very by the book, they can violate you on the smallest things. And that's what makes parole and probation very dangerous. Now he has 15 years of probation, right? 15, that means in 15 years, he can't have no police contact. And if he does, he risks going to jail. That means he can't hang around other felons for 15 years. If you want to go out the country or certain places, he has to report it to his PO, and it's up to their discretion whether they let him or not. I don't know if he has a curfew, but sometimes they give you a curfew where you can't be out the house past 9 or 10 p.m. Yeah, it's crucial. You know, like I said, I know a lot of people want to see Thugger home, and you know, it's a blessing that he's home. It's just that being that he's home now in those conditions, it's going to be very tough for him. You know, I'm pretty sure he'll stay disciplined because he wants to stay out of jail and be around his family. So shout out to Young Thug. It was free Thug until they free Thug, and hopefully Thug stay free. Y'all jump in the comments, let me know what y'all think about this. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that bell so you're notified every time we drop new content. And remember, as long as you keep on watching, I'ma keep on dropping. And I'm out.